Hello, everyone. The war in Ukraine has led to the collapse of the German government. So, what exactly happened, and how serious is this collapse? Let's dive in. As you may not know, the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, is a leader of a coalition made up of three parties: the Social Democratic Party, the Free Democratic Party, and the Greens. The Chancellor himself belongs to the Social Democratic Party, but to secure the chancellorship, these three parties formed a coalition called the Traffic Light Coalition. Without this alliance, none of the parties would have had enough seats in parliament to appoint a chancellor. To put it simply, one stick may be easily broken, but three bound together are unbreakable. However, unity creates strength, while conflict within a coalition only leads to failure. Recently, this coalition has faced internal issues, which have become the root cause of the collapse of the German government. Specifically, Chancellor Olaf Scholz holds the highest position, with Christian Lindner from the Free Democratic Party serving as finance minister. When the war in Ukraine began, Germany allocated significant funds to support Ukraine, which depleted its treasury. Now, with limited resources, the Chancellor proposed expanding Germany's debt ceiling to secure more funds for spending. To simplify, imagine your household earns $1 million a year but has a borrowing limit of $800,000. If you exceed this limit, the interest becomes too high, and you risk financial ruin. Similarly, Germany has a borrowing limit, typically set at 80% of GDP. Since the borrowing has already reached its cap, the Chancellor asked Parliament to raise this limit to fund Ukraine. However, Finance Minister Lindner strongly opposed this move, arguing, "If we can support Ukraine, we should do so within our means. If we can't, then that's fine too. Why risk raising the borrowing limit, jeopardizing our country's financial stability?" Chancellor Scholz, infuriated by Lindner's resistance, dismissed him, citing a lack of concern for the German people. From Lindner's perspective, his job was to manage the nation's finances prudently, ensuring the funds were used efficiently for Germany's development. His stance echoes Donald Trump's America First approach, prioritizing national interests over international obligations. Conversely, Chancellor Scholz shares a perspective similar to Joe Biden, believing that failing to aid Ukraine against Russia could eventually endanger Germany itself. In Scholz's view, Germany must contribute funds and weapons, as Ukraine's struggle is indirectly tied to Germany's safety. This political clash highlights differing philosophies. When leading a nation, every leader has their approach, and determining the right one often depends on time and hindsight. The immediate question remains: should Germany continue supporting Ukraine or focus solely on domestic priorities? Regardless of opinions, the finance minister has now resigned. Yet this is only the beginning. Following Lindner's dismissal, the Free Democratic Party erupted in anger, questioning the chancellor's authority to remove their representative from the cabinet. Soon after, the ministers of Education, Transport, and Justice from the same party also resigned. Ultimately, the Free Democratic Party withdrew from the coalition entirely. With one party out, the coalition collapsed, leaving only two parties in power. However, two-party coalitions no longer hold a parliamentary majority, rendering the government illegitimate. It's like a three-pillar bridge. If one pillar collapses, the entire structure fails. As a result, Germany must now navigate a political crisis. The process ahead involves a confidence vote in January 2025. If the chancellor secures enough votes, he can remain in office until the next election. However, he has also proposed advancing the elections by 6 months to March 2025. If Scholz forms a new coalition, he may retain his position for another term. However, leaders of opposition parties, such as the Independent Democrats, have already criticized this timeline, arguing that the nation cannot afford a paralyzed government until January. With several ministerial seats vacant, they demand swift action to stabilize governance. Meanwhile, German businesses, grappling with high costs and competition from Asian countries like South Korea, Japan, and China, urgently need governmental support. The political turmoil comes at a critical time for Germany. Economic stagnation, crumbling infrastructure, and an underprepared military have already strained the nation. Economists warn that this crisis could further dampen consumer confidence and investment in the coming months. Yet some see a silver lining. A fresh election and government could end the current paralysis and chart a clearer course for the future. In a sense, it's like demolishing a crumbling house to rebuild it stronger and more modern. The question remains whether Chancellor Scholz will be re-elected. With the rise of left and right-wing populist movements in Germany and across Europe, even a new election may struggle to produce a unified and decisive government. Additionally, the collapse of the German coalition leaves a power vacuum at the heart of the European Union, just as the bloc grapples with the possibility of Donald Trump's return to the U.S. presidency. If his previous term is any indication, Europe could face renewed challenges from across the Atlantic. So, can Chancellor Scholz weather this storm? Will Germany emerge stronger, or is this the start of a deeper decline? Let's wait and see.